From cheers of the fans to the crack of the bat, learn it all from Jimbo, Gabe, Mike, and Matt. Giving thoughts on all public teams, whether times are boom or if they are lean. Hero players that you should know, not only the good things, highs and the lows. Here it is, we're ready to go. Please enjoy the podcast on with the show.
Good morning, good evening, good everything in between. Welcome to the podcast. We are late into August. We're getting through the season. I'm your host, Jim Bobernacki. I'm joined as always by Mr. Gabe Lerman. How you doing, Gabe?
Wondering what's going on with the weather. It was frosty cold over the weekend, and now it's stupid hot again. I don't know how to dress when leaving my apartment anymore.
The weather here has actually been really consistent. We have had not only the wettest August since in recorded history, but the second wettest, I think, month in recorded history in Montreal. It's been endless torrential downpours. It's actually brutal. There's actually been some really bad flooding. Really happy I do not live on the bottom floor of an apartment building. And we are joined also by Mr. Michael Bewey. How you doing, Mike?
I'm also wondering about the weather. It's gotten absurdly hot again, but I knew that would happen. So all those people that were rejoicing that the heat was gone, they forgot they lived in Northeast.
Yep, no, the heat is coming, and I hope it stays because I hate winter. I'm over it. Fall is nice, but it always precludes my least favorite time of the year, which seems to last longer and longer every year here in Quebec. But enough about the weather. It's our baseball podcast, not our weather podcast. As I said, we are late into August, and the playoff races are heating up. We are getting right down to the wire. But first, let's take it away with our top story. Gabe, what do you have for us today?
Some potentially big news. The JPBPA is going to sue the league? Question mark. Evan Drellich of The Athletic with the report from the legal counsel for the Japanese Pro Baseball Players Association, planning on suing NPB for some of what they want to get that would normally be achieved through bargaining. Slightly different approach. Unlike in North America, NPB does not have antitrust protection. So the union is going to try and get name, image, and likeness rights for players from the teams, as well as pushing for free agency to be earlier. Right now, you need 8 years of service time for domestic free agency, 9 for international. That's why it took Kodai Senga so long to hop to the majors. Their proposal? 6, just like in MLB. There's some potentially big stuff coming down the pipe because this could mean players heading to the States earlier, NPB teams incentivized to post folks, even if they're restricted by MLB amateur free agency rules, and players having more control over what they promote and how. So it's going to be an interesting development, I think. Who knows? Maybe this means we'll get to see Kai Mataida wear his Lions kit while streaming on Twitch or YouTube the next time he does.
Okay, because I was wondering, obviously, the free agent sort of implication of it all is pretty obvious, but I was wondering about the name, image, and likeness part. So it would be much more, in theory, like freedom for the players to choose sponsorship deals and that kind of thing?
You got it. Right now, the teams control the players' name, image, and likeness rights, so they control who can promote what. I wonder if this also means we're going to see slightly different menu options. You know, Hiromi Ito may not want to promote the long beef skewer anymore. Maybe he goes vegetarian.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. I don't know how I feel about that because I like the way things are, but I mean, hey, maybe if it makes the baseball better and everyone else benefits from it, hey, why not, right? Sounds like it could be a good thing. Mike, do you have any thoughts on that?
So real quick, when they say 6 years, do they mean 6 years of top team service or 6 years total service?
6 years of top team service time.
Okay. As I've said before on the podcast, I've never been one to sit there and get excited about which players will or can go to MLB. I've always said I'd like the players to stay, just because I think it's better for the league and better for the domestic fan base. I just don't want to have it get to a point where, oh, this is a really good player, he's gone. Oh, here's a really good player, he's gone. Oh, here's a good player, oh, he's gone. The imaging rights and everything like that, that's great. I actually thought they kind of already had that because you see the players plastered literally everywhere, but I guess they had no say in that. On the subject of the food thing, though, it did remind me of when Randy Messenger was pitching. He had the big mess ramen bowl at Cochin Stadium, which I wonder how that was because they gave it to you in like a supersized bowl. But with that, the players leaving, I guess you'll always have your star players that choose to stay, like Yuki Yanagita, Takei Nakamura, Hideo Asamura, and so on and so forth. Even more, counting for other league and everything like that. But yeah, I kind of like how it is right now. But of course, I can understand where they're coming from, and I guess at this point it would fall on the teams to give the players a reason to stay, whether that's with contracts or, I'm not really certain all the business side of that and everything, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Building a winner could convince people to stay. I think that's why Yuki and Nagita stuck around in SoftBank, because they had built a winning organization.
Five
That, and
million
also
rings.
because SoftBank has like truckloads of money.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's also something to be said for maybe he just liked playing there. Like, it's like if you think about soccer, for example, there's some players who could go to England to make tons of money, but they spend a season in England and they're like, oh, I hate this. I want to go back to playing in my home country. Happens, maybe there's just, Yanagita just want to stay in Japan.
Yeah, I do think the some people handle being in a different market, different culture, different country a lot better than others. You see it with the foreign players a lot. Some, players flourish, like Fred Reyes is doing really good, and then you get some others that maybe it's not for them, but it will be interesting these coming whenever this happens.
Yep. Well, one way or another, something will happen. And considering we already like the product now, if it stays the same, it's good. And maybe it'll get better. So 2 out of 3 options are good for us. And also, speaking of we were mentioning international players and free agency there, the WBC pools are out. So World Baseball Classic is coming back. We're going to have a lot more fun soon. It's 3 years from now, but you can never get too excited too early. Japan will host Australia, the Czech Republic, and South Korea, and a qualifier to be determined. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to some of those games, especially the South Korea one. That should be very cool. I know it kind of goes without saying, but are you guys excited to get more WBC action going?
I just think it's funny that they are announcing these pools like 3 years before the actual event. It's not supposed to happen until like 2026. Premier 12 in November is a little more, more urgent of a matter. I'm interested to see how Canada fares in San Juan. Puerto Rico is hosting Canada's pool. And it's also great that the friendship between Japan and the Czech Republic will continue. That warms my heart.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that whole thing, actually. Oh, yeah, that'll be great. That'll be nice to see.
I'm just waiting for, the coming years when, all the 20 years from now, all the kids are like, Otani got struck out by a literal electrician. It couldn't have been that good, But yeah, there's never too much WBC, and I think after the last one, which blew, everyone's expectations out of the water with how good and how much fun it was, I think people are, clamoring for any WBC content they can get, no matter how early.
It would be kind of funny to sort of retroactively apply that logic in a way to how people criticize players from before integration. It's like, oh, they weren't playing pros, they were playing plumbers. Be like, yeah, well, that plumber just struck Shohei Ohtani out.
Oh, it's going to be a painful next couple decades when people start saying that unironically.
It's presuming society will still be here in a couple decades. I've been very doomer pilled lately.
My retirement plan is to die in the climate wars.
Exactly. There you go. I'm planning to die in the water wars. Personally.
Drafted by the clouds.
Ooh. Well, that brings us over to our main segment of the show, the Around the Horn, where we take a look at every team in the league from top to bottom and do a little bit of analysis on them and talk about them. And as very much usual, I think, again, every single time this year, we are starting off with the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. 2-3 this week. I think that might be the first losing week of the season. Probably not. There's probably at least one other one in there, but they're still sitting way ahead of everyone else in the league, and they're now getting closer to their magic number, sitting at 19. There is, of course, always still good news going on. Cuban superstar Livan Moinelo is the first foreign left-handed Hawk in history to reach 10 games in a season. This also makes him the first foreign player in NPBA history to have 10 wins in a season and also 100 career holds. The Sawamura Award frontrunner, as far as I'm concerned, now sits at 10-4 with a 1.64 ERA and 134 strikeouts over 143 innings pitched. Again, having the season of his career, absolutely dealing out there, and it's great to see him sort of get recognition for these unique accolades. That's kind of about it for the Hawks. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to jump in there with?
They did finally confirm they've signed Jeter Downs.
Hey, there we go. Now we need
What role is he playing? Good question. I have
It's
no idea.
you got to imagine he's named after Derek Jeter, right? Like who was just naming their kids out here Jeter for fun? I'd imagine, at least anyway. Anyway, so that brings us over to the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. Take it away, Gabe.
3, 2, and 1 in the last week, including a series win against the SoftBank Hawks in a possible postseason preview. If you want to catch the rubber match of that series, go check out the Midnight Matinee archive you can access right here on this YouTube channel. Part of the reason why they won that game, and part of the reason why they've been doing so well, the Franimal is loose. Franmil Reyes now has a 20-game hitting streak spanning most of August, including a pair of home runs in today's loss to bring his total on the season to 16. That also moves his OPS on the season to 840. He's only a hair behind Kensuke Kondo in slugging percentage, too. I think you'd have to make a case for him as the best new import batter of the season. Also earning some plaudits, Koki Kitayama. You know the rotation for the fighters has Sachi Yamasaki, Hiromi Ito, Takayuki Kato. Kitayama's in there too. 8 innings of shutout ball with 10 strikeouts against the Hawks at Escon Field back on Saturday. So another arm, not a bad thing. Maybe the fighters stole the Buffalo's pitching lab. This is not out of the question. And speaking of Yamasaki, I know he got rinsed today, but he's sitting at 9 wins on the season. Only 7 other pitchers in NPB history have gotten to double digits in their first year after signing free agent deals. He's also 5th on the ERA leaderboard at 2.66, just ahead of Takayuki Kato. One last note for the fighters, also on the pitching mound, they may have their new closer, Taisei Yanagawa. You saw him during the Midnight Matinee. 2.12 ERA in 14 appearances, good for 7 saves. 1 more this season, and he's ahead of Yoshihisa Hirano, who is still trying to get out of the shadow realm.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of Franmil Reyes, I was thinking if he sticks around next season and stays on this tear with the fighters, he could do some serious damage. I mean, looking at like the home run chase next season, he is bopping it right now. And so that brings us over to our third place team, the Chiba Loaded Marines. Take it away, Mike.
So for the Marines, 3-3 in their last 6 games, 3-3 since we last spoke, getting shut out twice by the Buffaloes at home. 16 straight wins versus Seibu, however, so they continue to bully Seibu on the season. Today, an extras on a wild pitch in the 12th. They'll have their next game against Seibu tomorrow at 5 a.m., so be sure to watch that live or on replay on PLTV. Looking back at the week on Thursday, August 22nd, they lost 3-4 to Nippon Ham in a Roki Sasaki start. He allowed 4 runs, 5 walks, and 8 Ks across 6 innings. Friday was an excellent pitching performance in a 1-0 loss to the Orcs Buffaloes. Dallas Keuchel threw 7 scoreless with 5 Ks, and Naoya Masuda gave up the winning home run in the 9th against 2021 PL home run leader Yutaro Sugimoto, one of my favorite Buffaloes players. The day after that, it was the Marines' turn to win 1-0 against Hiroe Miyagi. Then they lost 2-0 on Sunday, unfortunately, for Atsuki Tanaichi, who had a great start, going 7 innings, only allowing 2 runs and 8 Ks. And then after that series, they followed it up with the aforementioned continued bullying of the Seibu Lions. But, yeah, just treading above water. But I have some small notes here that I thought were kind of interesting. So I hadn't been able to watch every game this month, and then I also, when looking at the box scores and the game scores, I noticed I hadn't been hearing much about Neftali Soto, even though we've continued to praise how good he's been for the Marines. He's been a good signing, but Neftali Soto has not hit a home run yet in the month of August, and I believe this is the first time in his NPB career that has happened. His last home run came on July 31st, so as soon as August dipped, he kind of entered a slump. In August, he has 4 runs, 4 RBI, 8 walks, 1 intentional walk, 18 hits, and 28 Ks, which is a career high in Ks for the month of August, and a 584 OPS this month, interesting enough, which is his worst historically. I went down a little rabbit hole about his month-by-month basis, and historically in August, he's been very good. A career 830 OPS, 124 WRC, with his best year being 2018, which was his quote-unquote rookie NPB season, where he had 11 home runs with a 936 OPS. that month. Well, that entire year he was on fire. But I tried to look at the Marines' stats in total for the month, but Delta Graphs was being difficult. It was like refusing to show me the team batting average, team everything for the month of August. It only showed me it for like two teams for some reason. So the website's being finicky, and I don't really feel like going on my way to do the math all by myself. But it looks like everything will be pretty low. It's been one of their lower offensive months this year, I think. So that's been contributing to their fall into third place. But I just thought that note about Neftali Soto has been really interesting because even when he wasn't hitting a lot of home runs over the course of the season, he was still being very productive. And it just seems like he's just had an off month so far.
If you need me to play the "It's Over, It's So Over" clip, I still have it from last year.
It's over. It's so over. It'll never not be over.
It's Jover even.
Oh, it's so Jover. It's been Jover. I mean, I'm not complete doomer mode, but like I just thought that was a really interesting tidbit that made me go down a rabbit hole until Delta Graphs told me to stop and touch grass.
Please
Touch
understand.
graphs? They told you to touch graphs?
Touch graphs, yeah.
Touch
look at those
graphs. I mean, to be fair, the Eagles are 2.5 games back with 4 in hand on the Marines.
Ooh.
You got to feel comfortable about it.
Wait, 4 in hand is in they have 4 more games to play, or they're already 4
Yes.
games ahead?
4 more games to play. The Marines have played 117 on the season. The Eagles 113.
Ooh.
Oh, it's going to go down to that last game again, isn't it?
I wouldn't feel too comfortable with that. You know what it is? It's Nover for Neftali Soto. Okay, sorry. And so that brings us over to our 4th place team, the Tohoku Rakuten Golden Eagles, I should say. Take it away, Gabe. Or take it away, Mike again. I don't know why I always get the Eagles mixed up.
Okay, so for the Eagles, 3-1-1 in the last week, including pouncing over Sachi Yamasaki today at Escon Field. Ryosuke Tatsumi is now second in the batting title race, slashing 290, 347, and 431 with 6 home runs, 11 triples. Add that to his 13 steals and Golden Glove defense this year. He's arguably become the new face of the Eagles. Eagles baseball is all about speed. After Shuto atop the stolen base leaderboard, it's Hiroto Kobukata with 24 and Yuya Ogo with 23. So they've been pretty active on the base pass. I guess it's a way to manufacture runs when I guess runs are, at least earlier in the season, weren't coming easy to them. Takahisa Hayakawa has been pretty good this season. His ERA is down to 2.26 after 139 in the 3rd innings of work. 2 complete games and 1 shutout. He's still looking for win number 10, though. And on Masahiro Tanaka, he continues to rehab and is attempting to return to the top team. His 3rd start with the farm team, he threw 4 2/3 innings, allowed 4 runs, but got 4 strikeouts. No estimate or timetable on his promotion, and even then, when he comes back, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be in the bullpen? We don't know at this point.
I mean, given Takahiro Norimoto was able to successfully convert from starter to the best closer in the Pacific League, maybe one of 2 best. No, Andres Machado, we'll get to him. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tanaka in sort of like a swingman long role as opposed to taking one of the starting pitching spots for the Eagles.
If he did fit into the bullpen really well, that would be a pretty cool, like end of the game 1-2 punch. Tanaka coming in the 7th or 8th, and then Norimoto closing it out. Kind of like a bookend to earlier both their careers when they were both really good 1-2 punch as starters.
Oh yeah, that would be a nice little echo back of, 11 years ago. The Eagles bullpen has always been their strong suit, though, between Sun-Cha Hao, the Taiwanese Titan, and Shota Suzuki having a sub-1 ERA this year. Eagles have some really good arms to rely on.
And so that brings us over to our 5th place team, the Oryx Buffaloes. Take it away, Gabe.
3-3 in their last week, just treading water. They got swept by the Lions. The Buffaloes had a run of 10 consecutive games with 2 runs allowed or fewer earlier this month, starting on the 15th and ending on the 27th, when they allowed 3 in a loss to the Hawks. Now, if only the offense would wake up. They only went 6-4 in that run, which means in 4 of those games, they scored 1 run or none. 5 players are performing worse than last year, even adjusted to league average. Yuma Tongu, Ryoma Nishikawa, Keita Nakagawa, Kotaro Kurebayashi, who was still stinking good, and Kenya Wakatsuki. Also missing Yuki Utagawa, Soichiro Yamazaki, Taisuke Yamaoka, and Ren Mukunoki from the pitching staff. I mean, there isn't a single Buffalo starter who qualifies for the ERA title at this point. Maybe Hiroya Miyagi will get there with his next start, but not ideal. Positive notes, though. Andres Machado, as previously alluded to, a 1.51 ERA, 21 saves, and 13 holds in 47 appearances. I hope he's got a contract for next year. I hope it's with the Buffaloes. He's been transformative to the back end of the bullpen. And continuing the Shunpeita Yamashita revenge tour, Shunpeita clocked a new personal best fastball velocity earlier today, 161 kilometers per hour or 100 miles per hour on the nose. That was part of a 7-inning, 1-run game with only 7 strikeouts, and only 2 walks in Nagasaki to beat the Hawks 4-1.
Yeah, on the Buffaloes, I wonder kind of what your takeaway on this is. Is it I don't know how to frame this right. Is it a good sign that everyone's struggling this year because it means that like it wasn't just one individual thing, like maybe just everyone's in a slump and then next year everyone might bounce back instead of it being kind of like picky choosy, you know what I mean? It's not like you're wasting any time with anybody. It's everyone had a bad time, so maybe they could all come back refreshed next year. I don't know. And it's a lot of injuries, right? A lot of like little niggling injuries, like
could be. I'm just going to chalk it up to 3 words. Vibes are off. The vibes are off.
Yeah. It just seemed like the vibes are off of the Buffaloes this season.
Flush it, get it back next year.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you want to talk about where the vibes are off, or where
you want to talk about flushing?
Yeah, when the vibes are basically non-existent. Down in the basement, in the darkness, in the cold, dark corner of the lowest levels of the Pacific League, as they have been all season long. They kicked off their week, though, with the first sweep of the year, which is something as they beat the Buffaloes. Still led to a 2-4 week, but hey, any wins is better than no wins at the moment in Saitama. First baseman Jesus Aguilar, though, will miss the rest of the season with endoscopic knee surgery. He didn't even get that many games in, so, I mean, hopefully he can come back next year and kind of perform as well as they were hoping he would. And, speaking of losses and piling them on, Kona Takahashi is on a 0-10 streak this season, making him the first Lions pitcher to lose his 10 decisions from opening day. And also, speaking of losing streaks, as Mike alluded to earlier, the Lions have extended their just kind of historic now losing streak, 16 games against the Marines, with a tragic extra innings loss on that wild pitch to them today. I mean, that was just, I'm not sure if embarrassing would be the right word. So just tragic, just absolutely. I almost hope, just in a sardonic way, I just hope they don't win a game against the Marines this season. It would just be cool to see the history of them getting completely flatlined through by honestly their biggest rival, right? I mean, it's terrible. So happier news, Anthony Garcia hit the Frankie pose from One Piece, celebrating his first MPB home run on August 22nd against the Buffaloes. He also hit that pose hitting a double I saw the other day in a game. I forgot who they were playing against. It might have been I think it was the Fighters. But in any case, yeah, he's clearly a big Frankie fan, clearly a big One Piece fan. I even sent the photo to my anime friends. I was like, hey, check it out, anime stuff. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the Lions coverage, because I mean, what am I going to say? They're losing. All right, it's bad. It sucks. We all know they're on a historically bad pace. I would honestly, genuinely love to see a game between the Lions and the White Sox. I think it would be the funniest game ever.
I have a thought. The Rakuten Eagles might log a protest that they are going to finish 4th and still above 500, it's worth pointing out, because the Marines rang up the score so much against the Lions. The Marines could lose every single game remaining and still win the season series by a lot.
Hey, I mean, the Eagles should have swept the Lions too if they took issue with it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. But so that brings us to the end of the Around the Horn, and that kicks us over to our final segment, Familiar Faces in New Places. Gabe, how are the boys doing stateside?
I'm just going to focus on one because he's dominating the news coverage, and he should. Shohei Ohtani is the fastest player in Major League history to get 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a single season. And the 40th home run was a walk-off grand slam. There's still a month plus left to play. Ohtani has an outside chance at being the Major League's first ever 50-50 player, which is just absurd. Oh, and he could still try and pitch this year.
Wait a minute. Wait, Bonds never did 50-50?
Nope.
Really? Huh. Okay. So
When he
I
was
heard
getting
this
the
funny
50
stat
of one, he was too slow to get the 50 of the other.
I heard this funny stat the other day. I don't know if if the season ended today or it was sort of like a projecting where he may end up thing. But Shohei Ohtani's season now is the 11th best season of Barry Bonds' career or something like that in terms of WAR or something like that.
Yeah, Barry Bonds is still on another level, but he only got above 50 stolen bases once, and he only had one 40-40 season.
Wow. Okay. Huh. That's really surprising. I guess, yeah, because he did have those years where he was a bit more speedy and had good power. And then when he went full power and he didn't go so much speed, I guess that makes sense. Fair enough.
Yeah, steroids don't affect your running speed.
A well-balanced breakfast.
Very well-balanced breakfast. Well-balanced diet supplement plan. And I've actually got a bit of a kind of happy faces, familiar faces in new places story, a bit adjacent at least. I saw this happy little story on Athlon Sports in that the past 13 years, former Buffaloes and Dodgers star Hideo Nomo has been taking kids from Japan for a baseball week in which they practice and play with American teams in San Diego, and they catch a Padres game. And as per San Diego sports reporter Annie Heilbrunn, the kids' biggest request was taking photos with Padres stars Fernando Tatis Jr. and Ha-Sung Kim. And I think it's just really cool that the Pacific League Star is helping foster youth baseball relations between the two countries. I think that's a nice, happy, little cute story to throw into our show today. And I think that just about wraps us up. We're about to get around to the question of the day. Gabe, did you have anything for us there?
This is kind of like familiar faces adjacent, but I saw this and it tweaked my memory, and this is going to be our question of the day. Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners adores Naruto so much, he's doing a ninja headband giveaway event today. Well, he and the Mariners, the team. That's pretty cool, but it got me thinking, what's your favorite anime? Doesn't have to be baseball related, just overall.
See, I like my brain wants to go towards One Piece, but I actually like the manga way more than the anime. I find the anime actually borderline unwatchable. Frankly, it's just so overly fillered and the amount of time it takes to get to the same point through the manga is crazy. I would actually say Chainsaw Man, because Chainsaw Man was like appointment viewing for me when it came out. It was like every week I got to watch these episodes. They are awesome. They're like high art. So yeah, Chainsaw Man would definitely be my answer. What about you, Mike?
Before I get to mine, have you ever seen those One Piece edits of One Piece?
Yes, those are actually really good.
10 minutes of like a fight cut down to 2 minutes.
Yeah, no. It's genuinely great. And they cut out the filler episodes. They just, it's like reading the manga, but it's animated. I just don't have the patience to go through all the work of getting all of them. And also, I've already read up to where they're way past in the I'm ahead. I'm doing my own thing.
For me, my favorite is Black Lagoon. If no one knows what it is or hasn't heard of it, it's from the late 2000s. The manga's still ongoing. There was Black Lagoon, The Second Barrage, and then Black Lagoon and Roberta's Blood Trail, which was like the third season. It's about a Japanese businessman who's nicknamed Rock, and he gets kidnapped and joins a group of modern-day pirates in the South China Sea, in the worst city in the world, in the fictional Roanapur, which is apparently based on a real city. And it's really good, and I'd really recommend it. It's honestly, you just gotta kind of watch it, and then it's really good.
That fictional city being Ottawa. Burn. Take it. I read, I think, the first volume of Black Lagoon way back in the day. It was good. I liked it. I had no idea the manga was still going. That's crazy.
Yeah, the author goes on hiatus for like years at a time.
Yeah,
it's like Berserk all over again.
That is usually how it goes, isn't it? What about you, Gabe?
Furikuri. I know it was only a six episode OVA, but those 6 episodes changed my perspective of what anime is capable of. The sequels have been hit or miss. The original 6 is still top tier, in my opinion.
One of the weird things about Fully Cooley with me is that Adult Swim, at least in the US, ran it for like 2 years straight. at the same time slot, and as you said, there's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, I always assumed there was way more based on how many like AMVs and edits of it I saw. I was like, oh wow, there must be a lot of these episodes. Then I just like watched the entire thing in one afternoon. I was like, oh, okay, that's that then.
Well,
But yeah.
I mean, Adult Swim also commissioned the sequels, which may explain the dip in quality, but I haven't found another anime that quite tickles the same brain cells as that one.
A recent one I did quite like, but I didn't get around to finishing it because I usually only watch at, like most anime at my friend's place. And of course, as I would bring it up, I forget what it's called. It's called like Ranking of Kings or something like that. And it had this very kind of like European-y art style. And it was just really this like really cute story about like a little prince who's like deaf and like but he still needs to try to like be a warrior. It was cool. I see if you can find it. It's pretty cool. I've probably given not enough details for anyone to find it, but if you can, it's cool.
Interestingly enough, as we close out, Adult Swim also commissioned the 2nd season of Big O, if anybody remembers that from way back in the day. It was 1-season mecha anime that turned into 2 seasons because Adult Swim was willing to finance the 2nd season.
Well, there you go. Hey, bless Adult Swim for always bringing us more content, and bless you for listening to us. Please like, comment, and subscribe for all that YouTubey stuff, and we'll see you again next time on the podcast. Take care.